Okay, we're holding in the middle of Perek Aleph. We are going to be Be'ez Hashem finishing, hopefully, Perek Aleph today. So let me just give you a little bit of a summary. Where were we holding until now? So we can delve and jump right back into where we were holding. We started off with a bunch of kashas. The main kasha being that the Gemara tells us that before you come into the world, there's a shavua that you take to be a tzaddik and not to be a rasha. And even if everyone's calling you a tzaddik, make sure that you become a rasha. Now, we also said that the Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avos, you should not look at yourself as a rasha. So what's pshat? What's going on? Also, we said it's not good to do that. So we explained that basically we have to understand the differences between the terms tzaddik, beinoni, and rasha. Now, once we understand those terms with many more parakim as well, we'll maybe go back to the answers and try and figure out what we started with. Be'ez Hashem. So we started with the paragraph Vaha da'aminon ba'alma. The merza al merza mikri beinoni v'roiv zechuyos mikri tzaddik. Meaning, normally in the world, v'loshem b'nei adam, someone that's 50% averas and 50% mitzvahs, he's called a beinoni. And someone that's got majority, right, roiv mitzvahs, he's called a tzaddik. So what happened that we know that that's not the case? Because Rabbah said about himself that he's a beinoni. And we proved yesterday that there's no way that Rabbah thought, even if he was the biggest onav in the world, that he was a 50% averas and 50% mitzvah guy. Therefore, a beinoni has to be someone, as we explained yesterday, who's on such a high madrega, he wasn't even bevatel Torah for a second in his life. That's a beinoni. So what does it mean that we call people generally a beinoni, 50% averas, 50% mitzvahs? This is a very important yesod. Says the Heilige Tanya, Hu shem hamush'ol le'inyan schar va'oinish lefi shenidoin achar ruboy or mikri tzadik b'dinam achar shezoicha b'din. Meaning, what the Tanya is basically telling us, we are describing specifically someone, when we call him a tzaddik or a beinoni, about his deeds, about the reward that he's going to get. In other words, if he's got roiv mitzvahs, we're calling him a tzaddik, not because intrinsically he's a tzaddik, but rather because of his reward, because his 51% is roiv mitzvahs, he's called a tzaddik. And someone that's a beinoni, he's 50-50 in regards to reward, not in regards to who he is intrinsically as a person. Avol le'inyan amita shema toya v'amayla shel mayla samadregas chalukos tzadikim u'beinonim. In regards to the essence of the real name, tzaddik or beinoni, that's not what we mean. What we do mean is, Omer Rabbeinu Zal, Chazal tell us, there's a posik, tzadikim yetzer tov shofton. That when it comes to tzadikim, their yetzer tov completely rules them. What is ruling a tzaddik? His yetzer tov. Shenema, posik in Tehillim, v'libi cholol b'kirbi. Right, libi is my heart. Cholol means it's like hollow. It's been chiseled out. It's completely hollowed out. B'kirbi, from within me. Meaning, and this is the madrega of a tzaddik, she'ein lo yetzer hara. He doesn't have a yetzer hara. Ki harogoi b'tainis. He killed his yetzer hara with fasting and many other avodas that he did. So therefore they have no tzad to do an avera, no inclination to do anything bad whatsoever. So in other words, when we say tzaddik be'emes, that's describing the person, not the actions. So therefore the Tanya is telling us what we call tzaddik and beinoni, that's just talking about where he's holding in regards to reward. But the essence of the word tzaddik is someone that's got no yetzer hara. Avol kol mi. If a person hasn't yet reached this madrega, that means he's still got some inclination to do the wrong thing. He's still pulled a little bit in the wrong direction. Even though his mitzvahs are much more than his averas, and we would theoretically call that a tzaddik, he's not really a tzaddik. In regards to reward, he might be rewarded like a tzaddik because at the end of the day he's roiv mitzvahs. But the essence of a tzaddik is someone that's got no inclination bichlal to do wrong. He killed his yetzer hara. V'lachein therefore, Amru Rabbeinu Zal b'medrash, Ra HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'tzadikim she'im mu'otim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that tzadikim were very little. There weren't that many tzadikim in the world. Amad u'shesolon b'chol dar v'dar. So the Rebbeinu Shem placed a tzaddik or two in every generation. U'kemosh kosel, like the posuk in Mishneh Perek Yud Chav Hey, v'tzaddik yisoid olam. that the tzaddik is the yesod, it's a foundation of the world, we need them here. So what we have over here is that a tzaddik is someone that has absolutely no yetzer hara, and therefore he's ruled completely by his yetzer tov. Now we're going to get to what the Tanya is most famously known as. We're going to describe it over here, and then in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow we'll continue with beginning of Perek Beis also. Ber ha'inyan. And just to keep you up to date, what we're talking about is to explain the madriga of a tzaddik, a beinoni, and a rasha. Al pi mashakosov Rav Chaim Vital Zal b'Shara Kedusha, as I said in the beginning, the Heilige Tanya got from many Sifrei Kabbalah, whether it was the Maril, whether it was other Kabbalahs for him. But here is quoting Rav Chaim Vital, Talmud of the Heilige Arizal, or Be'etz Chaim B'Shar Nun Perek Beis. Ready for this? The Chol Ish Yisrael, every Yid in Klal Yisrael. Echod tzaddik ve'echod rasha, whether he's a tzaddik or rasha, yesh shtei neshamas, has two neshamas. Okay? This is not talking about yetzer tov and yetzer hara. Two neshamas. Ukedik said, where's his raya? Where does he get this from? How does he know that every year there's two neshamas? Pasuk in Yeshayahu, and zayin to zayin. Uneshamois, plural, ani osisi. I made neshamois. It doesn't say uneshama, it says uneshamois. That means I made neshamois, plural, two. Shehin shtei neshamois. Now, what are they? What are these two neshamas? What do they mean to us? How do they practically change who we are and focus everything that we do on them? What does that mean? So we're going to discuss one now and one tomorrow in the beginning of Perek Beis. Nefesh achas mitzad haklipa v'sitra acha. It's what we call the nefesh habahamis, the animalistic soul. Okay, it comes from mitzad haklipa. So a klipa is a very famous word in Sifrei Kabbalah. The Tanya brings it many times. So let's explain it once now. We'll understand it for the whole Sefer. A klipa is a very kipshutai. It's very simple. It's a shell. When you take, for example, a walnut, right? The shell around the walnut is you cannot eat it. It's a hard shell, but it's very necessary. It's a chelik of the pri. You just can't eat it. It's not the pri itself. A klipa is often a chelik of what we are, but it's only a covering. It's only a shell around what the ikka and the essence actually is. It's not the essence. So therefore, this neshama of the nefesh habahamis, which is the animalistic soul, comes mitzad klipa v'sitra acha, which means it comes from the other side. V'hi hamislabeshes bedam ha'odom. It actually is within your blood. Lahachlis haguf t'ksiv, and the raya for that is ki nefesh habosu bedami. The pasuk says v'yiku yudzayin, that the nefesh is inside your blood. Umimeno, from this neshama, right? The nefesh habahamis, from the animalistic soul. Bois kol hamidos rois ma'arba yisodios roim shema. Come all of the bad midas that you display, that you have in your life, that you have someone with bad midas. Where does it come from? Where's the root? It comes from the nefesh habahamis, that comes from this klipa, which comes from the sitra acha, which is rooted in the arba yisodos. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to explain it in a very short manner. Every physical item that the Rabbeinu Shalom created in this world, everything, has within it four yisodos, four elements, and that is Eish, Ruach, Maim, and Ofa. Fire, wind, water, and dirt, dust. The makar, by the way, for all of this is a medrash, Parshas Nosoi. It's a Zoya, it's the Rambam in Yesodai Torah and Perek Gimel. Now, by the way, when we say fire, when we say water, we don't mean the fire that we see or the water that we know of. It's a spiritual, okay? It's a spiritual higher state. But every single thing in the world created, by the way, even fire has all of those four. Even water has all of those four. Every physical thing that you see in this world, this table over here that you see, has all of those four elements inside it, okay? And the Zohar Kodesh says that not only does every physical thing have every one of these four elements inside it, but so too everything spiritual as well is also made up of these four elements, of course, on a spiritual level. If you want to go deeper, Yud Kei Vav Kei is connected the four Yesodis. Everything comes from Yud Kei Vav Kei, so everything comes from these Yesodis. Okay, we'll put that to the side. But I'll go upon him. All the bad meters that we have come from these four Yesodis, which comes from the Klipa, which we spoke about. The Hainu, Kas, anger. Person has anger, gets angry. Gaiva, he's very haughty. Misoda Eish, that comes from fire. Again, not physical fire, but the four Yesodis which make up everything physical in the world. Shenig Balamala, which goes up. The Taiva Satanugim, a person that loves Tainug. He loves enjoyment and he loves personal gain and he loves all these things. That Taiva is Misoid Hamayim, that comes from water. Ki Hamayim Matzmichim Kol minei tainuk. At the end of the day, what does water do? Water can, for example, make beautiful, luscious, geschmackig trees with apples and oranges and pomegranates and everything else inside it. And that means that in the water has the sweetness that's in every fruit. Again, not physical water. V'holinus v'neitzonus v'isparus. All these things. The people are lets, and the holiness for dvarim betelim inside the ruach that comes from the wind because it goes all over the place. Va'atzlus, someone is very lazy. Inside the offer comes from the ground because the ground is stable; it's on the floor. All of these things he's proving, of course, as examples that all the bad midas comes from this nefesh habahamis, this animalistic soul that's inside every single one of us. V'gam midas toivos shebeteva kol yisrael betoldoisam k'moy rachmanus u'gemilas chasodim bois memeno. Meaning, even the naturally good tendencies that we have without even working on ourselves, chesed that we like doing, the rachmanis that we have for other people, also comes and stems from this nefesh habahamis, this animal soul. Okay? Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zu deklipa hi meklipas noiga. Now the word noiga we can translate as brightness, but we don't need to, because we'll call it klipas noiga. The Zohar Kodesh talks about 4 types of klipas. One of them is noiga, very, very bright, that has a good side to it. The other 3 klipas do not have any good whatsoever. So therefore, let's go over the words. Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zu deklipa hi meklipas noiga. The klipa that we have in our nefesh habahamis comes from the klipa of noiga, which also has a good side to it. As he says, sheyesh ba gam kein toiv. It also has good as opposed to the other 3 klipas that have absolutely no good whatsoever. Vihi misoid eitz hadas toivera. As we know from Parshas Bereshis, Odom Arishon, eitz hadas, everything's in there, it's toiv vera. So klipas noiga, which is our animalistic soul, is going to be speaking to us in both ways, toiv and ra. Mashe'ein kein nafshos umasoilam. Goyim also have neshamas, but the neshamas of a goy hein mishar klipos temeos she'ein bem tov klal. They come from the other 3 that the Zohar was talking about, which have absolutely no good whatsoever. K'moshe kosev be'etz hachaim sha mem tes. By the way, that does not mean that a goy can do nothing good. Of course he can. A goy can do good things, but as he's about to say, that he has an ulterior motive. He has another reason why he's doing it. When a Yid does something good, it's because intrinsically within him he's got that nefesh habahamis, which has a good side to it, because it's from klipas noiga, which is what pulls him to do the right thing. A goy doing something good, it's because he has some kind of motive, and he brings a raya. Any good that the goyim do, it's for themselves. That means like this. Let's just go over. What he said is, in order to understand, and again, we have not explained and answered any of our questions, just in case you're wondering, like, hey, what's the answer to the question? We haven't described anything, but we're trying to get into a mahalach that we can eventually understand it. Step number 1, we have 2 neshamas. Neshama number 1 is nefesh habahamis, animalistic soul that comes from klipas noiga, which has a good and a bad side to it, which all of our good midas and our bad midas stem from there. Join us Be'ez Hashem tomorrow, that we're going to start Be'ez Hashem Perik Base, and that's going to give us neshama number 2. B'siyata d'shmaya.